Let's go to Disney.
Let's talk about that. No, that's not us. Wrong show.
Wrong show again.
Welcome to another episode of the Team Unicorn Podcast. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Sammy.
And today we are going to be talking about something that we truly love talking about.
Yes. And we get asked all the time.
We're going to talk about Disney, but we're specifically talking about going to Disney.
Yes. Let's plan your Disney trip.
Yes. We have gotten quite a bit of questions from people like we've known from high school or just family members or like randomly like teachers have come up and asked us from back in high school, have asked us like, well, how do you plan a Disney trip? And
yeah, we're going to Disney. What are your tips?
Yeah, what are your tips? And it's on one hand really cool because like people obviously follow us.
We're that couple.
You know, that they know that we're like aficionados. Like we know what we're talking about in this case. And then it's just fun to like talk to other people about like their experience in Disney or like going to Disney. We just ran into some mutuals at Costco a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes.
A friend from mine from high school, it's his wife's sister, their family. Katie and Tony, if you're listening, you're watching, hello. And I swear we were like talking to them for like 20 minutes about
it was
Disney.
Like 20 minutes in like the Frozen section.
And like I feel like that's probably like the section, the reason why we started this podcast. It's because like we could just go off and on and just talk about Disney like to no end. Yeah,
and that's pretty much what our conversation was. We were just kind of talking about everything and you know, our trips coming up and what we have planned and
what we like to do down there, like what we've done on past trips.
Character interactions, we were talking about that and how awesome those are, like just everything. So it's nice to, like, as much as I love talking to you about Disney, it's nice to
you want to talk to other people.
Yeah, I guess it's just nice to like go outside of like our circle and talk to other people and just see what they have to say, what their experiences are.
And it's super nice. And it's super nice to like also get like, you know, their tips or like hints or, you know, what they know to be tried and true on going to Disney. And that's kind of what we're going to offer listeners today.
Yeah.
By no means are we saying this is the only way to do Disney. It is not the only way to do Disney.
Oh, no. This is how we do Disney.
Yes. And if I feel like we're kind of like the wizard and like peeling back the curtain a little bit to see how like, you know, the inner workings of a Martin Disney trip go.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to kind of break it down into kind of time frames as like, if you're this far out, this is what you should be doing, or this is what we recommend doing. And then kind of going into some more of tips or tricks or secrets or just advice that we have for anyone planning their first trip, planning their 10th trip. And I feel like we've got a lot of stuff to kind of go over today.
Yeah. And like we said, this is how we do Disney. Obviously, we are a childless millennial couple. So obviously our tips and tricks and how we do it is not going to be for everybody.
Right.
So if you have kids, if you're going with a big family or party, like these might not all work for you. And we'll kind of try to incorporate stuff that might work for most people.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have some like special needs or disabilities to accommodate, like, you know, like large groups and stuff like that, you might have to do like some more research or like try to accommodate those people.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the tips that we're going to kind of discuss today are just good in general tips or good advice. And like you said, we are going to kind of touch on some things that we found from other creators or other YouTubers that work in their situations to kind of give to you guys. Because obviously, like Sammy said before, like we're travel millennials. We don't travel with children. Sammy might say differently.
Oh, no.
But it's just, we're very excited. This is an episode that we've planned for like a really long time. Like this is like one of the, like, I feel like the original episodes.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the originals. And we haven't done it till now just because I think it was just kind of hard to like navigate how to I think, present it to people, because there's
Mm-hmm.
so many different aspects, and we want it to present it in a way that makes sense. And I think the timeline, I think is going to work.
Right.
So hopefully
And
you can follow along and it's not us just rambling on, but
right. And we're at the point right now when this episode of the podcast drops, that will be about like 2.5 weeks,
like
2 weeks out from our trip. So like we're kind of right in the thick of that, the end stages of planning this trip and getting prepared for this trip. So let's start with several months ago. We'll kind of start with how we first thought about, I guess the initial planning of the trip.
Right. So the trip we're going on in November, we booked like a year ago. Like I think it was like November, like after our November trip last year.
Yeah, we went November of 2021. Our first like full day there was Halloween.
Yeah.
And then we were there for a week. We came back. I think it was just a couple weeks later. We booked this next one here.
Because we knew we wanted to get something in the books, for Pop Century for the full week, so we didn't have any troubles getting that full week there. We didn't know with Epcot's 40th anniversary if that was going to draw like larger crowds for the fall, which it doesn't really seem like. I mean, they were celebrating it, but
yeah, it's
a little disappointed.
It's October 2nd, the day that we're recording this, the 3rd.
Second,
yeah, it's the 2nd that we're recording this, and there is some fanfare going on at Epcot. Maybe not as much as I think either of us would have preferred for it being our favorite park, but we'll see how the crowds kind of go when we go. In about a month when we go. But so kind of at that 6 month or
6 months to a year. Like I guess I wouldn't. I mean, I think it's going to be kind of tricky. I think if you're trying to plan like a full like week vacation, like anything less than like 6 to 5 months, I think, because we kind of found that out last year.
Yeah. So, and then I guess that's the first tip to this, planning this far out, is like figure out how long you want to go. Is it going to be just a small weekend trip? Is it just 4 full days and hitting every single park and leaving? We haven't had a trip like that yet, where we've always gone for 7 to 8 days. So we're packing a lot of Disney into, a full week's worth of time here.
Yeah.
So it's figure out when, or figure out how long you want to go for and when you want to go for.
Right. And then just get something on the books. So if you're wanting to do a trip, sometime next year, like just get something booked, because you can change it. Like you can change your dates, you can change your hotel, how many days, like if you want to drop adding days can be tricky, like the closer it gets, but you can change like pretty much anything. And then you can cancel the whole thing up to 30 days before and get a full refund on whatever you've put down.
Yep. And when you're booking yourself online, which we'll kind of get into booking, yourself versus a travel agent, but when you're booking the trip online, you just have to put a $200 down payment if you're booking an entire package. I don't know if it's the same thing if you're booking for just tickets or just hotel, but if you're doing the whole package, it's $200 down. So I mean, it's pricey just for a little bit of a down payment, but again, like, you can always modify those. Things can change. You can move it. Like you can book a stay in May and change it to December with that original $200 down payment, and you're totally fine on that. So figure out when you want to go and how long you want to go. That's really going to kind of guide you through the rest of your planning process.
Right. Yeah. Because obviously you have the Epcot festivals. Like, are you wanting to go for one of those? Because, then you'll have to, plan accordingly. Spring break can get really busy, like March, April. Like, do you want to go for that? Because maybe you'll be off work or your kids will be out of school. Or do you want to avoid the large crowds? Do you like going in the summer when it's super, super hot? Or do you want to avoid that and maybe go in the fall or January? But then you have to keep in mind, there might be some rides that might be down for refurbishment in the winter months, down there. So there's just a lot to consider, when you want to go.
And especially with the recent events down there, you also have to take into account hurricane season too.
Yeah, that too.
So, coming into September or October, like the crowds might be a little bit less because kids are back in school, but then you're also dealing with the chance of increased hurricanes. So there are good times to go to Disney. We found several good times throughout the year to go to Disney. It's just whatever fits best with your schedule. If you've got kids, obviously not a lot of people want to pull them out of school, or if you have a job that you can only kind of take off during certain times of the year, that's all going to account into it. But yeah, make sure you figure out around those holidays, especially Christmas and Halloween, getting into like if there's special ticketed parties. I think Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween, an event like that where you have to really consider what parks you're going to on what days. Spring break, hurricane season, Epcot festivals. If going to that festival is something that you're really excited for, make sure you're not going that 1 week where there's not an Epcot festival.
Because there's usually like a week in between each festival. So on the off chance that you plan your trip, when you really wanted to hit a festival, then you might have to make some adjustments. But
so you figured out when you want to go, you figured out how long you want to go, and then it's time to finally book it. So at this point, you either can do it yourself, or you can go with a travel agent. We have done both several times. I guess I don't necessarily have like a huge preference between the two. It just kind of depends on what we're trying to seek out of the trip. But lately we have been booking them ourselves.
Yeah, we've just been booking them ourselves. Our first two, we went with a travel agent. Like our first trip, we were just kind of so overwhelmed with like trying to figure everything out. We definitely went with a travel agent.
And she was incredible. I mean, no matter what travel agent you're going to go with, the ones that are certified through Disney are so knowledgeable, so incredible. We've gone through Travel with Character with Lauren Quirk.
Yeah. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Lauren, if you're listening. She was incredible. Her team is really awesome.
Is amazing.
We've talked to Melanie several times because we were trying to plan go to Disneyland with her initially. So there are quite a bit of options for you when it comes to travel agents. Most of them are free.
Yeah, most of them are free.
It just kind of depends on which travel agent you go through. If it's they're just strictly Disney, most of them that we've found online are free of cost because they do get some reimbursement back from Disney for getting those trips booked. There are some that you do have to pay a little bit or pay a booking fee with them. And it just kind of depends on what you are expecting out of a travel agent and whether you think that price is worth it. I remember our first trip when we went and booked with Lauren. She was like, I'll book your fast passes, rest in peace. We'll get your Magical Express all set to go, rest in peace. We'll get I'll do all your advanced dining reservations. She would do everything for us.
Whatever you wanted her to do, she will do. If there were parts that you wanted to do, you can do it. So you can kind of be as hands-on or off as you want to be, and just keep the communication going with whoever you're booking with. And it should work out good if that's how you want to do it. I know some people are just like, no, I want to plan everything myself, and
that's totally fine.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I think we've become so comfortable, and I think just so much more knowledgeable with how the parks work and everything, that it's just kind of easy for us to just do it ourselves. So that's why we've been doing it ourselves. So
and the travel agents, for what they offer, it is a very good deal, even if you do have to pay a fee for them. So like you said, it's just how much you want to put into this. And I guess that's kind of coming into like the first 15 minutes of this episode. We've already given you a lot of information.
Yes.
And a lot of it is pre-planning information, and you're going to get what you're going to get out of this trip is what you put into the trip.
Right. Like I think a lot of people I think they get kind of frustrated, with how much they realize how much they have to plan their trip. And they're like, I just want to go on vacation. And I'm like, well, if you just want to do, Disney's not really that place then, I guess, if you just want to, go and relax. I mean, it can be, but for the most part, you have to put in quite a bit of effort to make your trip worth it, I think.
Yeah, and especially with Disney is constantly changing in the way that they're constantly
Yeah, like,
evolving here. Every single one of our trips has looked different
yes.
for a variety of reasons, whether that be COVID, whether that be um, new implementations of ride queues.
Yep.
And everything is just it completely changes every single time you're there. So
Yeah.
that's where you have to kind of decide whether you're comfortable taking on all this information and really doing the research to figure out, like, okay, this is what I need to do and when,
Hmm.
or as opposed to putting it in the hands of a travel agent and being
Right.
like, hey, I don't know much about Disney. I just know that I want to be there, or I want to take my family there. Um, Help me.
Right. Yeah. And it's not one of those things where, like, if you are going to try to do it yourself, you're just like, well, I'll just kind of figure it out as we go, or when we get there or something. Like, that's not going to work. You're going to have like a miserable trip, I feel.
Yes,
So,
and we've heard other creators or other podcasts that have had that issue where they just kind of went into this trip being like, it's Disney, like it's the same old, and that's a very bad
yes. Like,
way to look at
yeah.
things.
And even if you've gone multiple times, or even if you just went like 6 months ago, like, I don't know, brush up on some Disney vloggers or some Disney news. Like, I don't know, like, you just can't always assume that it's going to be the same, as the last time that you went, or, that something hasn't changed. Yeah, because I was listening to a couple podcasts, and there are people that have been multiple times, and, they were kind of getting upset because they didn't know that, oh, this changed now. And that kind of like not ruined their trip, but, they had like a bad moment in their trip that could have been avoided had they done the research beforehand.
Right.
So yeah, so I guess do your research. Like, if you're really committed to this Disney trip, it's going to take some work, but once you get there and you have everything planned out, like, it's going to be amazing.
Right. And kind of hit off what you say, like, it's a Disney trip. Like, you should be fully committed into making this trip magical. I can't imagine a scenario where I would just go to Disney and just be like, I guess I'm here. We'll just figure it out. Like you need to be excited for this trip, but you also need to be informed on these trips.
Yeah.
So definitely put in the research here. And so speaking of, I guess, getting back onto like the planning of it a little bit more, some of those final things that you need to research or kind of take a look into are, along with your how many days you're going to be there, is what type of park tickets are you going to get, and
Right.
where are you going to stay?
Yes. So I guess for us personally, we've always stayed at Pop Century. It's a value resort, but it is so nice. It's updated. It's not huge. So you're not like walking very far from like your room to either like the Skyliner or the main lobby to get on the buses.
Mm-hmm.
Uh it's just is really nice for us, because we spend most of our days in the parks. So we don't really need a big fancy room to, I guess, hang out in or whatever, because we're going to be at the parks.
Yeah.
Um
And with Pop Century, and I guess just any resort that you decide to go with, you want to try to pair the amenities with what you're trying to get out of this
right.
trip. Again, you're researching and you want to get the most out of this trip. If you're going to stay at a resort that has two of the best pools in Disney, but aren't planning on doing pool days, well, why book
Mhm.
that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And we've always stayed on property. We did, kind of flirt with the idea of staying off property for a trip
Yeah.
last year, and we just found the value of staying on property, even though the resorts might be a little bit more expensive, far outweighed the cost of staying off property and needing to get an Uber every single day or a rental
Yeah.
car. So it kind of depends on what you're seeking to do in the parks, what you want to do at the hotel,
Yep.
and how you can navigate through these parks. If you're a
Yeah.
local, obviously it might be a little bit easier because you can just drive there if you're within a couple hours. But with us, we're a 2.5, 3 hour plane ride away from Disney World. We can't really just pick up our car and drive down there
Yeah.
and pay to park every single day. So with us, Pop offers that transportation accessibility that we really need. It's close to a lot of things. It's right on the Skyliner, which is a mode of transportation that's gondola system that'll take you to different parts of the resort and to two of the four parks. There's just so much value that comes out of Pop Century, and it is a value resort, so it is one of the cheaper resorts, but it is the most expensive, cheapest resort.
Yeah, I think so. But like you said, I think it offers a lot for like what you need. Like just a basic, it has a nice room, like it's updated. Bathroom's really nice,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, right
Like you
on the.
said, it's small. It's right on the Skyliner. They've got a very good food and merchandise kind of area in there.
And it does have three pools there.
Yes,
I
it's
mean,
got
they're
three
not
pools. So
huge, but I mean, they're pretty decent. So
yep, and they got laundry. Obviously, all of them have laundry right on property. So it's just figuring out like what you're looking for. We've kind of hopped over to different resorts in the past. We went to Art of Animation, which is a very beautiful resort. We've kind of walked inside their main lobby building, and it's really really
yeah.
nice in there. The Riviera, which is just
Oh my
gorgeous.
gosh,
Just
gorgeous.
gorgeous. That is also on the Skyliner.
Yeah.
So that's a very good perk about them. We've been to the Grand Floridian. We haven't stayed at the Grand Floridian because we don't have Grand Full type money.
Yeah.
But we've been to the Grand Floridian. We've been to the Polynesian. Like
Mhm.
those resorts are just incredible to be at, but
Yeah.
they do come at an incredible cost.
Right. And that's the thing is like you don't have to pay a bunch of money to experience them. Like you can just take the monorail and go visit them, walk around and like look in the shops there or eat at the cafes there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because where you stay can definitely eat up a lot of that budget. Like if
Yep.
you're talking like $500, $600, $700 like per night at some of these resorts, like that's a lot of money, especially if, I mean, even if you're only going for, 4 nights or some 3, 4 nights, like that's a lot of money just for your resort.
Yeah, because you figure even like a 3 night stay at probably one of the cheapest rooms at the Polynesian is probably like a week stay with tickets at Pop or
Yeah.
even like any of the All-Star resorts. So um and we're not shaming anyone for going
No,
to
no, not
any
at
resort.
all.
If
But
you want to go to the cheapest option with All-Stars, do it. If you want that high sophisticated style of the Grand Flow, if you can afford it, go right ahead.
yeah.
For us personally, Pop is that really nice in between where it's just a little bit elevated up from I don't want to say like the clichéness of like the all-star resorts, but it has a lot of the updated nicer looks and feels
Yeah.
of more of a contemporary type of hotel, not the contemporary but a
Yeah.
contemporary hotel.
Yeah.
And then lastly, before booking, you just want to make sure you're booking the right type of tickets.
Yeah. So you can book park hopper tickets if you want, but if you book park hopper tickets you have to book it for your entire stay. Like you can't just decide one day I want park hopper tickets and then the rest of my stay are just going to be regular one day.
Right.
So
And I
like
believe if you book it in a package, everybody needs that ticket
yeah, and
too.
then everybody needs. So again, like, and it's a way to save money. Like if you're going for a week, like I really don't think there's a need for getting park hopper tickets because you can easily spend like 2 days at every park and and accomplish what you need to. But I know some people just don't like doing that. Like they just don't like spending all their time in one park. They like doing one park in the morning and one park in the evening, and if that's what you want to do, then you need those park hopper tickets. But
Yep.
we've never done park hopper and I don't feel like we're really missing out because there is so much to do at each park, so much that we spend like 2 days at each park.
Right.
So I don't know, I don't really feel the need for park hopper tickets, but some people like them or want to do them. So, and if that's what you want to do,
More
then
power to you.
that's something you need to decide, I guess.
All right. So you've decided where you want to stay. You decided how long you want to stay. You decided how you're going to get there. You're ready to book, and you have your trip finally planned.
Yes. Now what?
At this point, hopefully you're about still 5 to 6 months out. You still have plenty of time to plan, figure out what you really want to do, but go ahead and book that trip, whether it's for yourself or by yourself, or whether it's with that travel agent. From here on out, it's how are you going to pay for the trip? If you have the money set aside already, awesome. Like that's really that's a really good place to be in at that point. I know theoretically for us, like it's nice to use the tax money. Like when your tax refund comes in, you're like, oh, it's Disney money.
Yeah.
Not everyone is able to do that. So it just depends on if you have saved up ahead of time and have it now, or you do need to start saving money or figuring out how to pay for your trip. And there's kind of two aspects that we want to touch on here. Is one is getting a deal or a discount or a promotion on it. And then another way is how we go about saving and paying for Disney trips, especially if we can't get a deal or promotion or discount.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I know pre-COVID, there was a pretty regular schedule, I guess, as to when Disney would put out promotions.
Yeah.
And it was kind of easy to predict when those would come out. Since COVID has happened, that's like all out the window.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Nothing is the same. They're running different type of discounts now.
So yeah, I guess as of right now, we don't have a deal on our trip. Like we are paying full price for everything. And it's usually just on the room. Like you would get a discount.
Right.
I know pre-COVID when they had the dining plan, they would sometimes do like free dining when you booked
so many days package.
A certain package. But yeah, so as of right now, after COVID, it's usually just been room discounts.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're just completely random, it seems like. And
it hasn't really gone off of the like historical markers that we've seen in the past here. They're even adding a new one. So like if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, you're getting pretty decent discounts, but at like weird times of the year.
Yep.
I think right now Disney realizes they really don't need to run promotions to get people back in the parks. They're still seeing that surge of people coming in who had to postpone their COVID trips.
Yep.
And I guess a side note on that, it's really fun to see people like finally get to go on their COVID trips.
Yes. Because you were just like, there's a couple that we follow.
And they actually we follow them on the Team Unicorn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They are out in somewhere out in Europe. I forget where they come from. And they are currently, at the time of recording this, they just landed in Magic Kingdom.
Yep. Yeah, and they've had this trip booked since 2019.
Yeah, so it's really fun to see like those people that have had these trips booked for so long that are finally getting to go, and even seeing people like finally getting to experience like the 50th anniversary for the first time. We'll get to see that when we take Jay next month.
Yep.
So that's just really fun.
Yeah,
just a side note on that.
Yeah.
Where were
we? Okay, saving on your Disney trip. So there might be a promotion, and if you're going with a travel agent, they will automatically apply that to your package. If you are doing it yourself, I know there's a section that you have to go on to apply it to.
Yes, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Like you said, the travel agent will do that automatically. They're usually up at like 3:00 in the morning doing that for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So usually you would wake up to an email and be like, hey, guess what? I just saved you guys like $400 on your trip, which is awesome. But if you're doing it yourself, like we've been doing it, you have to go onto the website yourself and find it. When you go onto your reservation, there's a spot where you can modify your reservation or pay, make a payment. When you go to the modify area, it's literally like the first thing that's on the website where it'll say, apply promotion.
Yeah.
And if there is a current promotion, it'll let you apply it. There are obviously day requirements or certain things that you have to
value, moderate, deluxe, like sometimes like as you go up the tier, like your percentage off gets bigger. So so it's all different.
You can also call into them
call Disney
to try getting it quicker, but it just kind of depends on what works the best for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people don't really like navigating computers, so then you can just call Disney and a cast member will apply that apply that to your trip. So
So I guess in our situation, what happens if you don't get a discount?
Yeah. Well, even if you do get a discount, like you still need to save for that Disney trip.
Yes.
But yeah, so we try to like just buy Disney gift cards or set money aside each paycheck. And the best way we do that is buying them from Target, the gift cards.
Yep. You do get the 5% off.
Yeah, because we have the red card and you get 5% off the Disney card, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have, a $3,000 trip to pay off, and you can essentially do that all in Disney gift cards. Like, I mean, it's a decent chunk of money.
Oh yeah.
So we usually do that. The other thing that we do pretty regularly is we use an app called Shopkick.
Yeah. And we've been doing Shopkick for even longer than we've been going to Disney.
Yeah.
And it's essentially, we kind of think of it as a scavenger hunt for new items that companies are trying to promote. You download the app, and you can go into several stores in your area, like Walmart and Target are usually the big ones for us.
Yeah.
And our advertisers or companies will, try to promote like a new product that they have out. And you have to go and scan the barcode on the back of the item for a certain amount of points, or they call them kicks.
Yep.
And after so many scans could range from 1 kick to 5 kick. We've seen them all the way up to like 50 or 75 kicks.
Yeah, I think a good average is probably 10 to 20 per item.
Yeah.
Usually.
And after so many times, or after so many scans, you accumulate all these points, or they call them, again, kicks, and you can turn those kicks into gift cards. Yep. We do that quite regularly. Especially like once we like are getting into like, we need it safe for Disney. And you can get, rack up these gift cards pretty quickly if you are going pretty consistently.
Yeah, and that's just using like the quote unquote free, like it's all free. Like the app itself is free. Like you don't have to pay for anything, but you do get bonus kicks if you buy these items. So, and you don't have to, but if you buy the items that are listed, then you get even more kicks for doing so.
Yep. So you might only get 25 points for scanning it, but you might get 1,000 points for buying it.
Right.
And after we kind of go based out of like $25 increments, just because that's usually the lowest ones that we get for like the Disney gift cards. It's 6,250 kicks to get a $25 gift card, which seems like a lot. But when you go to Walmart, and they offer 1,000 kicks in one day, or you can go to Costco and Target, like you can very easily have 2,000 kicks in one day. So meaning if you have 3 or 4 really good days of shop kicking, you've earned a $25 gift card.
Yeah.
And I guess that's very evident with our uncle.
Oh yeah. He goes every day.
He goes every day. He realizes and he recognizes what they offer.
Yeah.
With that, he has paid a significant amount of this trip just on Shopkick alone.
Yeah.
We're talking hundreds of dollars.
Yep.
Just from going to stores that he regularly goes to, to buy, food or, household essentials. Sometimes he'll buy the items, but he has paid, I think, at least $500 of this trip just on free gift cards that he has earned from Shopkick. And he just started this within a couple months ago. So he's constantly doing it. And like, I think that's a really good way of, saving for that trip. Because you might not have gotten a $500 discount on your room because you were a Disney Plus subscriber. But I mean, just running around on the weekends and getting some free scans or buying a few cheap items that gets, all these points, he's saving a lot of money on that trip alone. And we've done that too. Our trip in part has been paid because of this Shopkick as well. We've gotten several $100s off of this trip because of that. Which again, if you're doing that, is less money out of your pocket then.
Right. Yeah. So, and it's a completely free app, and it's, like bigger stores like Walmart, Target, Walgreens, CVS, Costco. So, I mean, they're probably places that you're visiting on a weekly basis anyways. I guess it's just whether you take like the 15 minutes to maybe navigate the store to find everything. Again, it's one of those things you kind of get what you put into it. Like, our Uncle Jay, like he literally goes every day to do it, and he gets quite a bit back.
He's getting quite a bit out of it.
we tend to just go on the weekends, but then because we haven't gone in the week, like we usually have like a pretty decent amount to get. So that's usually that's our other way of like, I guess, saving for the trip.
And then like you mentioned before, so pair that all those free Disney gift cards that you're getting from the Shopkick app, pair it up with all the discounted, Disney gift cards you're buying from Target. I mean, I know 5% doesn't seem like a whole lot, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're paying, $2,500, $2,600 upwards a person per your trip, this trip alone with with everything that we have coming up on it, it's well over $5,000 for that trip. So even 5% to save on that, it's still 5% to save on it.
Right. Yeah. And then another thing too is, for like birthdays or Christmas or like anything that somebody might get you a gift for, like if you can maybe say, hey, I'll take a Disney gift card, like that's another way too, is, if you're
our
okay.
neighbors actually just did that because we told them that was our kind of a trick, and they have two little ones next, our neighbors next door, and they got, I think, like $300 or $400 in Disney gift cards, which you don't think as much, but for a family of four, like that's, all your food for a couple days.
Right. Yeah. And they're not planning, I think they're planning next or 2 years.
So there's plenty of time for them to save up.
And they have plenty of time to save up, but they're like, they have plenty of toys and they don't really need clothes. Like we get all that, and just buy us Disney gift cards and then we can go on this really nice trip. So that's something to do too. Like just, ask people, instead of like, gifts, just let them know that you'll take Disney gift cards.
Yeah, because it's not so much that they're giving you a gift card that you have to go like buy your own gift at Amazon or something. Like you're paying for an experience, and I think a lot of people appreciate that more.
Right.
I mean, you could definitely take the Disney gift card and go on to Shop Disney and buy something off their website. But this gift card isn't like something like a Target where you can only spend it at Target. Like there's different Disney entities that you can spend it at. And like these gift cards will help pay for the experience of going on Disney or going on a Disney cruise line or going on Adventures by Disney.
Yeah, literally, like it's
as long as
Disney,
it's Disney.
It's Disney money. So like if you're on Disney property, you can like literally use it like anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
so a $5 or a $25 gift card that you bought at Disney or bought for Disney from Target, and you save the 5%, and you can use that to buy a water. You can use that to buy a Ronto wrap. You can use it to buy a plushie. You can use it to buy a Spirit jersey. You can use it to buy your park ticket. You could use it to
pay for Genie Plus.
That's it. It literally is pretty much anything that's under Disney's umbrella in that Disney bubble, you can use it on.
Right.
So that's, if you can't get any sort of dealer promotion or discounts on your hotel stay or your package stay, we definitely recommend at least buying up those Disney gift cards in advance, or definitely do that shop kicking. Or I think there's other sort of like cashback apps like Ibotta and stuff like that, but shop kick is the one that's worked the best for us.
Yeah, that's the one that we've seen. I think that you don't really have to put in like a lot of your own money to get something back at a decent return.
Yes, the only thing that you're really spending is your time and maybe your gas getting to like the place. But if you're already going to Target on the weekends, which we're going to do after we record this podcast, if you're already going there, you might as well, get paid to do it eventually.
Yeah. And then just bonus kicks if you like the items that are listed, you can buy those and get extra. So
highly recommend that, because we have saved hundreds of dollars. I think right now my lifetime on Shopkick is, I think, over $1,000 in free gift cards that they have given me, because all I've gone around is played a little scavenger hunt to find out where like this beard oil is, or where these marshmallows are. So definitely recommend doing that. So another part, once you kind of have your plan tripped, is figuring out, what do you want to do when you're there? What do you want to do on those park days?
Yeah, like planning your park days. Okay, because Disney currently, and I don't foresee this going away anytime soon, they have the Disney park reservation system, and they've had that in place since COVID. Because they want to, like, I think initially they wanted to make sure they weren't like overcrowding their parks with COVID regulations and stuff. But now I think Disney just likes to know how many people are going to be in the park and, all of that stuff. So you have to say which park you're going to. You have to tell Disney, I am going to Animal Kingdom on this day.
And for us, I don't have an issue with that at all.
Yeah, that's literally how we planned our first Disney trip. Like, we knew which park we were going to every day.
Yeah, so pre-COVID, you could go wherever you wanted, whenever you wanted. It didn't matter. Park hopping was at a certain time, so you had to wait for that to park hop. But
I don't think you did. I think you could just park. Yeah, I think you can just park hop whenever you want.
We never parked up anyway, so we didn't know.
Uh,
So, but we looked at it because there were special perks for hotel
yeah,
guests. So
because they
like you
had
got
the
the
early theme park entry, but it was certain parks on certain
on certain
days that
days.
had the early ones and then the late ones. So we coordinated our days as to which parks had those.
So if we knew Epcot was open till 11 when they usually close at 9, we're going to that park so we can get more out of that park. If we knew Magic Kingdom opened up at 7 instead of 8 o'clock, we were going to that park.
Yep.
Now after COVID, they've gotten away with certain days, and it's just if you're staying on property, you can get into any resorts or any park a half hour early.
30 minutes early.
So we were kind of already doing that before COVID, picking out like which park works best for our schedule, which park can we get the most out of, or which park can we stay the longest at.
Yeah.
Because we are park open, or rope drop to park close.
Yeah.
Rope drop to fireworks type of people. So we're always in those we're always there. So we wanted to get the most out of that. That's something that you have to decide if you want to do that. Do you want to be that early morning rope drop person? Are you staying all the way till fireworks? Are you only going in the morning or only going in the afternoon? Figuring out what park days you want to do.
Yeah.
Because then you have to tell Disney, I'm going to be in this park.
Yeah,
this day.
and you have to put in those park reservations.
This is
otherwise,
not a recommendation. Like Disney will not let you into that park.
Yeah, like you have to, so as soon as you buy your tickets, like I don't like when people are like, oh, I'm just gonna kind of wait. Like, no, like get something in the books, because you don't know if for some reason like a park's gonna fill up, and then by the time you decide like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that park this day, I think, and then there's no park availability. Like, so as soon as you have those tickets, put in something. You can change them later. Like
it might not be the most efficient way of changing a reservation, but you can definitely do it.
You can definitely switch them and change them around, up until I think the day of. Like, I think you can switch them. So you have to do that. Like, you have to put in those park reservation systems. Like, you have to have your ticket, you have to have your park reservation. And then if you are doing park hopping, you have to scan into that original park that you put in.
Yes, so park hopping is now at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Let's say
for Disney World.
For Disney World, yes. If you're going to, if you have a park reservation for Animal Kingdom and you knew at 2 o'clock you were going to park hop over to Epcot, but you didn't go to Animal Kingdom in the morning and you're like, well, it's after 2, I can go over to Epcot. No, you cannot. You literally have to go. Well, you either have to change or modify your park reservation if you're able to.
Yeah, if there's
availability. I'm not sure if you're able to do that the same day. Or B, you literally have to drive yourself to Epcot or make your way to Animal Kingdom, scan in, and leave.
Yes.
Like, that's the only way Disney is going to let you park hop. They need to know that you were at least in that park. Now, people might not agree with that. Again, I don't really care because we don't park hop, so it doesn't matter to us per se.
Yeah.
But this is just a tip to the people that do want to park hop or, might utilize this. Make sure that you are scanning into that park, or make sure you go to that park or change your reservation, because you will not be allowed to go to Epcot if you did not go to Animal Kingdom first.
Right. So when you're looking at your however many days you're going, and you're trying to figure out which park day, definitely look at like the park hours for that week that you're going. Look and see what festivals are going on, and then also look to see if there's any special events that usually it's Magic Kingdom that would close early.
Yep.
For like those Halloween or Christmas parties, like they usually close to regular guests at 6. So if that's a deal breaker for you, then don't book your Magic Kingdom day on that day.
And then just a reminder, if they do close, like you're not getting fireworks that day. You're getting a shortened day. So, with our trip coming up, we are purposely going to a Christmas party. We're actually going to the first Christmas party. So if other people were going and they wanted to go to Magic Kingdom that day, but don't have tickets to that Christmas party, they know that they might not be getting. Well, they should know that they might not be getting a full day in Magic Kingdom. Yeah. Crowds might be a little bit lighter, but you're also not getting any fireworks. You're not getting that extended evening hours like, people at the Christmas party are. So definitely pay attention to those Halloween parties, those Christmas parties, or if there's any special events. Sometimes they close it down for like tapings or weddings or just, business events that are going on there.
Right.
Definitely want to make sure that you're not booking, your one and only day in Magic Kingdom when you want to see fireworks, and then
on a party day.
day.
Yeah.
Or if you really want to go see, be there for something, like we saw quite a bit last year with the 50th.
Yeah.
People did not have park reservations for Magic Kingdom on the 50th, and they were denied, and they had to go to their original park, whether it be Animal Kingdom or Epcot or Hollywood Studios, and
wait
over there. They had to scan in, and then they had to park hop back over. So it was very frustrating if you did not do the research and put in the effort to realize what you need to do ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you'll get upset, and we don't want that, because you're going to most likely take it out on a cast member that does not deserve it.
Yes. You better be nice to cast members. Like, they are gems, and they literally make the Disney magic. So do not get upset or mad at cast members. If you are nice to them, if you explain your situation, they will do everything they can to help you. Like, just be nice to them. If you are having an issue.
I am one, you can attest, that I do get very angry and frustrated when something is not happening. I believe it was our second trip in Disney. We were in Hollywood Studios. I didn't get something, and the park closed before I could go get a snack before we left, and I wound up not being able, I got charged for something I didn't get, and I was very mad about it because they didn't refund me. As angry as I was, do not lose your cool at those cast members, those CMs. They are doing everything that they can to help you. They are very pleasant. Do not go off at them. And I had to remember, in that instance, these are cast members. They're amazing.
Yes.
Shut your mouth, Tyler.
Just pack your patient pants. It'll be fine. But yeah, so just know the park reservation system. I know there's been a lot of hate on it. I guess it's just kind of how we've always done Disney, and it's pretty much all we've known for how to do Disney. So it's fine. And we are just such planners that that's just how we are. We're just planning out our days. We know which park we're going to, so it's not that big of a deal to us personally, but I know a lot of people don't operate like that, and it can be frustrating to them. But this is the Disney that we have, and the Disney you have to work with. So just, go with it, and just know what you're doing or what you need to do. And and if you are having problems with it, just be nice to the cast members.
Yep. So I guess along with planning those park days and figuring out what you want to do, figure out what you want to do outside your park days. Are you devoting time to do laundry? Are you devoting time to do Disney Springs? Or do you really want to go do some resort hopping? That's something that you also have to accommodate in those plans. And, with our upcoming trip in November, that's been very difficult to do, because it feels like we want so much out of this trip.
Pack so much into our days, and we are just wanting to spend so much time in the parks, because, we get to go often. I guess maybe once a year to most people maybe is often, but when you haven't been in a year, there's a lot of stuff to see and do, so we want to spend our time there, and so it's hard to kind of fit in other stuff that we would like to do, like the monorail hopping, or taking time for Disney Springs, because during Christmas they have all those Christmas trees that we want to see.
You gotta go get your Gideons.
I get Gideons and all of that stuff. So and I guess just figure out what's important to you and your group, and make sure you are prioritizing stuff that if it doesn't get done for somebody, that if it's gonna break their trip, you need to fit it in. You need to fit it in. So make sure you're doing what's important to you, and then I guess whatever the rest is gravy or something like that. I don't know.
And then the last couple of things that you want to do once you finally not pack your trip, once you finally have booked your trip, and after you kind of figured out where all the pieces are, which days you're going to, some of the last things you're going to do is just figure out your transportation. How are you going to get over to the airport? Are you even flying in? Are you driving into Disney? If you're flying from the airport, are you taking a rental car? Are you taking one of the buses now that the Magical Express isn't running anymore? Or are you just taking an Uber? Us personally, what we've are kind of seeing is that we're probably going to take an Uber. The busing, the systems down there, they look very nice. They look very similar to the Magical Express. It's just for the value of them, we just don't see, or for the price of them, we just don't see the value in taking them.
Yeah.
And then you could get a rental car. We've never done a rental car situation before, just because Disney transportation is usually pretty good to us.
Yeah, it's usually pretty good and efficient. You probably have to wait a little bit, but but then if you're doing a rental car, like you have to also consider like your parking every day, because that you have to park at your resort. But then if you're a resort guest, if you do take your car over to the parks, then I think it's free. Like you don't have to double up on the parking.
But regardless, it's still expensive to park every single day. Like it's more than Genie Plus.
Yeah. So
every single day there. And then one last thing that we want to touch on, and this is something that you can kind of change or add on even all the way up to your trip, is whether or not you want to add the photo pass.
Yeah.
We went one trip without photo pass. And I don't think that we'll ever do that again.
No, like we regretted it ever since, because we were like, oh, we don't really need it. But like, no, like there's literally photo pass photographers like scattered throughout the park, and they don't just take like one picture. Like they will take multiple pictures for you, and like you can just get so much. So like I hands down think it's worth it. Like,
yeah, we're huge advocates for the photo pass photographers. Like you said, they'll take multiple ones. They have some really awesome ones for certain times of the year, certain events or festivals. They call them magic shots, where they'll add like characters in, or they'll add some sort of like cool side effect or background, or some sort of like a blowing effect on it or something, or on your picture. So it's not just a picture of you in front of Spaceship Earth. It's a picture in front of Spaceship Earth with like confetti falling, or there's like Remy right next to you or something like that. Yeah. So it's really fun. And we do highly recommend PhotoPass. It's $170 before you go, and I think they up it to $200.
Yeah,
if you add it on once you get there. Yeah. We find a lot of value in it, just because we love taking pictures and having those pictures. One of my favorite things to do once we come back from these trips is to make a photo book with all of them. So I think the first trip that we went down, we maybe had like, between all three of us, we had like maybe 400 or 500 pictures to choose from, which seems like a lot. But when you're coming back with PhotoPass photographs, you're coming back with like thousands of pictures.
Yeah, because then you get all like the ride pictures. Like if there's like a picture on the ride, like you get.
And there's
all
some
of
videos
those
on the rides too, like Seven Dwarfs and Tower of Terror have video attached to it.
Yep.
So there's a lot of value that we find in PhotoPass.
Yeah.
That we highly recommend it. But it is again another pricey expense that you have to consider.
It is cheaper like if you just buy the whole package, because I know like if you don't have the package, like you can buy pictures individually, but like I think they're like for like one picture it's like 10 or 15, I don't know, like something crazy.
Yeah,
like
and you can buy it like I think you can buy it like per day as well. But when it comes to like a week-long trip for us, I mean, even if it's $200 for a week-long trip, but you're only spending like $20 a day to get all those pictures, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you have at this point you have like your week planned out. You know which days you're doing. You have your park reservations all set to go. So like you're at that magical 60-day window.
Yeah, 2 months out, and you have another milestone that you have to hit.
Yes. So the biggest one with 60 days out is your reservations. So most of it is dining, but there are like other things that you can book that aren't dining. Like if you want to build a lightsaber,
a droid. I think when you're capture your moment, you can do it 60 days out.
I don't know how the Bippity Boppity Boutique works, but I would assume that would fall under the 60-day window.
I'm too old for it, so they don't let me in, and I'm a little upset that I can't go get my princess makeover.
Me too. Like I want to get all like dolled up and like the whole thing. But yeah, so 60 days is when you can start making those reservations. So you want to make sure like you've done some research, you know who you're going with, like where people want to try to eat. So
no any dietary restrictions that you might need. Disney's really good with dietary restrictions in general.
Yes, they are amazing.
And if you go onto the My Disney Experience app and go through all the different restaurants and look through all the menus, further down the menu, they'll give you all the different dietary restriction menus. Yeah. So if you're allergic to fish, here's where if you're allergic to nuts, here's what you can have. If you're allergic to, dairy, here's what, here's what they have to offer you, which is another good tip to do while you're planning your reservations, or while you're kind of figuring out what you want to eat. Play around with that My Disney Experience app. Get familiar with it, because once you go to Disney, you're going to be using it a lot.
Yeah, you use it quite a bit, especially if you are doing Genie Plus for any of your days, like you're going to be on it probably quite a bit. I know that's a complaint people have, is like, oh, I was on my phone so much with Genie Plus, but I'm like, we were on it all the time, like with FastPass, so I don't think that's really any different. But anyways, yeah, make sure your experience with the My Disney Experience app, and then so you can start booking those dining reservations. And this is like sit down dining, like you don't reserve like quick service,
right?
Or
you're
like
not reserving your Dole Whips or anything like that.
This is like sit down stuff, or like character meals, things like that.
Yeah. So if you really want to go see, if you have kids and you really want to take them to see, Mickey and the Gang at Chef Mickey's, I feel like a lot of people feel like that's a rite of passage for on their little ones. I know with our first trip, like our biggest reservation was making sure we got to go to be our guest, and dine in, the Beast Castle, or if you really want to go eat in Cinderella's castle, like those are ones you want to make sure you're booking right away, because those will go fast. And
Topolino's Terrace, that goes really fast too.
Yes,
that one's amazing.
Or even experiences like Olga's Canteen.
Yep, those will go pretty quick.
That's one you want to go right away with. So if you want something, make sure to book it right away.
Yeah, and if you're on the fence about something, just book it right now.
Yep.
Like, there's no harm in booking it right now. If you're talking it over and you maybe decide in a month you don't want to do it now, or even like when you're in Disney, like you can you can change them. I know they say like 24 hours.
But we have a tip.
Yes,
to
we
help
do.
With that. So we've actually had this several times where we've had an advanced dining reservation or an ADR, and like you mentioned, like they typically say you have to cancel it within 40 or 24 hours.
24 hours.
Or you do get charged a penalty fee. And it I think it depends on the location. But
I think so too. So one thing, go talk to a cast member. I know we've done that before too.
Yep.
And they will most of the time, be like, oh yeah, that's fine. Because most of the time they can fill it up with somebody else, or like they're already full. So, talk to a cast member if you really can't make it, or if something like an emergency came up or something, like talk to them. I'm sure they can figure something out for you. Yeah. But if not,
we have a trick that we used several times. Just modify your reservation.
Yep, modify
you can go right on the My Disney Experience app. You can modify that reservation up to the reservation time. So if your reservation is at 1:00 for, something over, be our guest, 12:59, you can still change that reservation, and you can change it to 5 weeks out in the future. Yeah. Just pick any day pick any time
that's more than 24 hours.
More than 24 hours. You'll get the confirmation that it's changed, and then cancel it.
Yep.
You won't have to worry about paying a late cancellation fee. You don't even have to talk to a cast member. You can just go ahead and do that. It has saved us several times. It's not, I guess, maybe the most efficient way of doing it, but it is a very simple way of doing it. So that way you can still keep that reservation in mind. And like you said, they're going to be able to fill that spot, even if it is like on a few minutes basis, or a few minutes ahead of time.
Because a lot of these places have like wait lists. So then they would notify somebody like, oh, we have an opening,
Yep.
So that's a couple ways to, I guess, get around, like, if you can't make those reservations.
But yeah, we definitely recommend doing the reservations right away. They usually go up, I believe it's 7:00 a.m. Orlando time. So depending on where you're at, you have to get up a little earlier, especially if you're out on like the West Coast, or like with us being in Wisconsin, we're on Central Time, so we're an hour behind Orlando. So getting up a little bit earlier to make those reservations. Like I said, we've done Be Our Guest. We're doing Skipper Canteen this trip, which we are super excited for.
I'm very excited for.
We've done Topolino's, which we can't, recommend any higher.
And that was before the characters could hug you again, and it was still amazing. Yep. So
we've done Garden Grill over at Epcot.
That was really good.
Gone are the days where you could like kind of get into the park before for your breakfast. That worked really, really well for us on several trips where I think for Be Our Guest, we got to go into Magic Kingdom before Magic Kingdom even opened up.
Yep.
Got to go have breakfast, didn't have to rush it. And then you were already by Seven Doors Mine Train, or you're already like further into the park where you have that leg up on people that are stuck out in the hub before, rope drop. So there are a lot of advantages to booking them ahead of time, but there are a lot of great places to eat. We are Disney foodies.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
We go to Disney for the food.
We definitely go to Disney for the food. And I guess that's another thing that you want to map out at this, or, start mapping out at the 60-day park or, mark in your trip is where do you want to eat in general? Like what kind of snacks do you want? Where if you're like us, you're constantly looking at like Disney Parks blog for their foodie guides for their festivals.
Yes. Yeah. So we have for every festival that we go on to, like we always like map out like what we want to try and like where it's located, how much it is. And then, as we
just cross them off the list
as we go.
Or if you're going around like Halloween time or Christmas time, or even like they just had a bunch of Encanto themed snacks and Coco themed snacks for Hispanic Heritage Month. So like anytime that you go, there's always going to be some sort of foodie guide on, take a look at those. Those are really good ways to figure out how much things are, what they all consist of, figure out which things are going to look the best on your Instagram feed. But we are definitely foodies when it comes down to and we're going to Disney. That's why Epcot is, again, one of our favorite parks, just because the food is incredible at Epcot. So if you're definitely like us, definitely, plan that out in advance. We already have our list for Epcot, and we even have lists for all the other parks that we want to go to. So it's also a nice thing that if if they're mobile order available, you can go ahead and get those mobile order that morning of. That's another tip that we'll get into later with mobile ordering, is that there's a lot to do on the Disney Experience app, including mobile ordering, and having, your list of food that you want to eat going into the park. Then you'll know what to mobile order right away.
Yeah. All
right. So now you've got your food and your advanced dining reservations all taken care of. You're getting down to that 2 to 4 weeks out. It's about a month. If you haven't already started doing so, which we highly recommend, you should have probably already been doing at maybe that 2 to 6 month range, start planning your outfits.
Yes.
And that's something that we take very seriously in this household.
Yes, for sure. So I don't know. I would probably put outfit planning probably like at the 2-month mark.
Yeah.
Just because if you are ordering from some small shops, it can take a little bit longer to get some of those in. So kind of have like maybe a rough idea of like what you're looking for or wanting to get if that's something that's important to you. I know there's some people that are they just
wear whatever they wear at home down to Disney. That's fine too. If you need that, she wanted the D, I gave her the D shirts from Etsy that we've already complained in length about, I guess go ahead and buy it.
No,
don't buy it. Like,
I don't know. There's just so many other shirts, but
so if you're gonna order from a small shop or any sort of creator shop, definitely do it well in advance.
Yes,
because you don't know how shipping is gonna be. Some of these, they go up for pre-order. If you buy a shirt that you're not really feeling and need to buy a different shirt, you have that time.
Yeah.
So we definitely recommend.
Yes, we take outfit planning very seriously.
Very, very seriously. And we do plan on doing a pack with me.
Yes, we've never done a pack with me video before, so we're kind of trying to lay out how we want
to figure out how this all works.
Yeah. But we do want to do one, and we are planning on one, so hopefully that will go up
sometime this week to kind of correlate with the trip here, within the next week or so.
Yeah.
But that's something that we do take very serious, and we feel like we kind of plan things out to a point where like we feel really good and comfortable once we go down there. We know exactly what we're wearing. We know exactly what to do. And even like with our park bag, what we put in our park bag, what we recommend to put in our park bag. We're not going to get a whole lot into that on this because a lot of that will be covered in that pack with me video. But definitely start planning that.
Yeah, like we just kind of start like like right now, like I mean, we've been like a month out. We start piling stuff in our it's our guest bedroom that we just take over the bed and everything with our outfits that we want to take. And then we'll just start throwing things that we, want to take with us, like extra, we bought some more like Kleenex and laundry detergent for when we do laundry. We'll pull out our water bottles.
Tied to go sticks when
yep.
I get food all over myself.
Tied to go sticks. So we'll just kind of start pulling things, or if we know we're getting low, like I knew we were getting low on tied to go sticks. So I'm like, oh, I should pick some of those up and I'll just throw them in the bedroom because, we're going to be, starting to pack somewhat soon. Again, I feel like we're probably a little bit ahead of the game when it comes to that. Like,
yeah, I mean,
maybe than most people.
We feel like probably at the 2 to 4 week mark is probably when most people would probably start like getting their stuff ready. I mean, we're at like the 7 or 8 week mark when we started.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we've had stuff out there at like, when we could do dining reservations, I think we had like stuff in our guest bedroom.
But that's just personally how we operate.
That's our personal preference. So do whatever I guess works for you. But we are definitely planners and pre-planners and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And at this point, I mean, we highly recommend you do this well before this point, but it's when you get down to like the last like week or two, you do need to order your magic band if you're planning on using a magic band, which is something we didn't talk about earlier, but I'm like, I see them on our set here, and I'm like, we should probably mention magic bands. If you're a hotel guest with a package with Disney themselves, you do get a little bit of a discount on a magic band that will come pre-arrival. You can order it closer to your appointment and they'll just bring it to your resorts, but if you order them ahead of time, that's one less thing that you have to worry about. Or you can not order a new magic band and use an old magic band from before, from prior trips. You can also use like your ticket card or your phone. So by no means do you have to order a magic band, but we always do.
We're extra, so we've ordered one for every trip. We've ordered a new one. Yes. And we have the new Magic Band Plus, so I'm excited to play around with that. But yeah, and if you are doing the Magic Band Plus, definitely try to order that well in advance so you can get it set up and linked to you and all of that. Make sure it's charged up and ready to go. Yes,
because not that you need to know my 3-hour plus ordeal on trying to get my Magic Band to link to my phone, but there are times where that might happen.
Yeah.
So. Lesson from someone who had to learn it the hard way. Those magic bands don't automatically link up perfectly to your phone.
Yes. So just start seeing what you want to pack. One tip we have is bring your own water bottle. We have one right here on our desk. It's a Brita filtered one because the water down in Florida is a little weird. I think with us being spoiled with the Michigan water, like I think we just have like such nice water here in Green Bay. But yeah, Florida water just tastes a little funny. So we get the Brita filtered water bottles. And then this one is double insulated. So it'll keep our water nice and cool. But yeah, I mean, if you can just bring your own water bottle, there's plenty of places to fill it up in every park, and then that can save you so much money on buying bottled water, unless you want to like in advance, like if you have like Amazon Prime, you can have like water like in
shipped
food and stuff shipped to your hotel if you're inclined to have the bottled water. But I don't know, I think just bringing a refillable water bottle,
it works the best for us. It fits really nice into my backpack, which I have on, or just to the left of me here. My backpack is also insulated. I got this right from the park, and I absolutely love my park bag. I've had other bags before it, but this bag is just so awesome. I love this bag so much. And so it's insulated. It's nice and light. So with the bag being insulated and the water bottle being insulated, we don't have to worry about our water getting cold, which is I'm very excited for, because my personal preference is I need it ice cold. Sammy does not. She just likes it cooler or more room temp. But at least we have that option to make sure, we don't have to sit and drink out of a warm water bottle that's been sitting in your pocket.
So getting if you're whatever you're taking for bags, if you're checking a bag, kind of figure that all out, what you want to do, and then if you like taking a park bag in, get that pulled out and kind of fill it with things that you might need in the park. Like we said, we'll go over I think what we put in our park bags in our pack with me video, and then but one thing that you want to put on your packing list is a poncho.
Yes. This is another one of those lessons that you're going to learn from me because I was the unfortunate one to learn it the hard way.
And it can save you some money. So, like,
Yes.
because they're not the cheapest things to buy in Disney.
So kind of going back to our episode, our hot takes episode a couple weeks ago, a rainy day in Disney is not fun.
Yeah.
Under any stretch of the imagination, I absolutely hate it. I had to deal with it. We've had rain here and there a couple times throughout our trips, but there was one day it was just nonstop rain.
Yeah.
I can deal with the Florida sprinkles. I can deal with that Florida half hour and then it's gone type of rain. This was an all day rain.
It's like literally all day.
I did not have a poncho with me. I had to buy the $12 thicker plastic ponchos. That they're okay as long as they don't rip on you. Once they rip bad.
Mm-hmm.
My head is very big. Not because I'm smart. It's because I have a big head. And getting it through the poncho hole, it started to tear like on the base by the neck. So then it just kept tearing all the way down. So I had to hold on to it. So my arms were also like, I was just drenched all day. I absolutely hated it. It was the worst experience I've ever had in a Disney park. And it wasn't because of the Disney park. It was because I did not come prepared with a poncho.
Yeah.
I have a poncho now.
Yes.
She has a really cute poncho. So
and you can get them for just the same price as a reusable
one. And these are, nice fabric ones that come in a reusable pouch.
Yep.
Like they're meant to be reused. They're not plastic. So I highly recommend because I was burned on it and I absolutely hated that day. It was our last day in Magic Kingdom last year.
Yeah.
It ruined the ending of my trip, to be honest with you. Don't let Disney rain ruin your trip. Bring a legit poncho.
Yeah, bring a poncho or a rain jacket if that's more your style. I really liked the poncho for me personally because I have the Loungefly backpack. My poncho it's big enough for me. I could put it over it and it covers my backpack, so that stayed dry. But yeah, so just whatever you think you're gonna feel comfortable in for a Florida rain. So whatever that is, because you don't want to be, especially if you're a family and you need to buy ponchos for everybody, that's going to be a big ticket if you have to buy those down in Disney. So buy stuff ahead of times and you have those things packed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's about all we're going to touch on right now for like packing and all of that stuff. So like once you're in Disney.
Yep. So you're all set to go. You're on the plane. You're in the car. You're driving there. You check into your resorts. You are in the Disney bubble for however long your trip is. Life is good. You can smell the churros. You can taste the Dole Whip. You're ready for it. What do we recommend when you're actually in Disney? We're going to cover just a couple questions that we've been asked before or things that we found to be really tried and true. Or some tips that we found for, some of our listeners who may have children or may have some sort of different needs than kind of like our trip.
Yeah.
So we mentioned earlier that we're rope drop to fireworks type of people, and that can get kind of tiring.
It can, yeah. So I guess our biggest tip that we've learned going, is just to take breaks.
Yes.
That's probably like my biggest tip for people
is an absolute lifesaver.
Yeah, to take breaks. We didn't really do that so much on our first trip, and that's where we learned it from because we were just getting so tired. And that was like the time when like Rise of the Resistance like had just opened, and you had to be like in Hollywood Studios.
Yes, I remember our first rope drop to fireworks night was Hollywood Studios, and we were in the park at like 5:00 in the morning, and we didn't leave till like almost 10:00 at night. It was an absolute just monster of a day, and
we still had fun.
Yes.
It's just it just doing that day after day for a whole week that takes a lot out of you, and
there's only so much like the adrenaline of being in Disney can kind of like coast you on. And it worked for like that first day because we went into the park when it was pitch black. We left the park when it was pitch black.
Yeah.
But not that we don't recommend doing rope drop to fireworks. We definitely do. It's just be smart with it.
Yeah, be smart. Definitely. If you're not wanting to leave the park, there's plenty of quiet spots in the park. You just find a nice bench or even like some of the shows. I know the one in the
American Adventure.
Yeah, totally napped through all of that. And then I was good for like the rest of the day. But if you are a person that maybe needs to go back to the hotel and I've done it too, like I go back and I take a nap for an hour.
Yep.
Kind of redo my hair, and then I'm good to go after I'm done, and ready to go for the rest of the night. So don't be ashamed if you have to. And I think that's one thing that we've had to like come to terms with, is that there are days where we just need to take a break. And
I get tired. I have very bad back problems. So like my back, tends to hurt pretty quickly into the day.
Yeah.
And I've learned ways to manage that pain. And but it's Disney. You're on your feet for 12 hours a day, walking around in the hot Florida heat on on cement. Like it's not the easiest terrain to be on. For the entire day. So it's just learning your limits, making sure you don't get hangry, which in Epcot we never do because we're always eating in Epcot.
I feel like we're eating like all the time. Not all the time, but I mean, we pretty much,
we snack our way through the parks. So it's just, knowing your limits, making sure you're, taking, that time for the self-care. And if that includes a break, I think, like you mentioned, the American Pavilion and Epcot's a great place to take a break or like a little nap. In Hollywood Studios, going into some of those shows like the Beauty and the Beast show, or especially the Frozen show. I mean, I wouldn't recommend napping through the Frozen show,
but at least sitting down in some AC.
It's cool. It's dark. The AC is awesome. That's a really good place to just kind of relax and recharge there.
Yeah. I know in Magic Kingdom one day we just went into Cosmic Rays. I think we got like a Cheshire cat tail for a snack, and we literally sat down in there for like maybe an hour.
Yeah, we listened to Sunny Eclipse. We just, kind of did some people watching. That was a really, really good place to, it may be a little bit loud, but I mean, with Sunny Eclipse being there and like they're kind of like doing a show, like people are talking, but like they're also kind of listening. So it's not quite as loud as I feel like some other places could be. A really good place to take a break is over in Launch Bay, the Star Wars Launch Bay in Hollywood Studios. They have, I don't know if it used to be like a queue for something, but they have a bunch of like Star Wars like posters and art kind of lined up in the walls, and there's tons of benches in there, or you can even sit down on the ground because like nobody's in there. Yeah. So we got like a Jack Jack's Num Num cookie and just sat.
And I think that was when it was the relaxation center. When COVID was still, when they still had COVID protocols, each park had a relaxation station, which I kind of wish they would have kept those, because
those are really, really nice. Really you could go in there, you could take your mask off, like you could just sit down and breathe and chill and relax a little bit. So that's a really nice place. I'm trying to think of a good place in Animal Kingdom for a relaxation station. I guess if it's cloudy, like the kind of like the lagoon where they have kite tails, rest in peace. If they that would be a good place to have it. Or
if you can just sit down in Satuli Canteen, because it's pretty big in there and it's air conditioned inside. But if you can like just sit in like Satuli Canteen
or the Nemo theater, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we haven't done that yet, but
always take those breaks and just kind of focus on recharging yourself if you can't go back to your hotel room.
So that's the biggest thing, because like you've done all this planning, like you're in Disney, it's a lot. Like the parks, there's so much to do. It can be overstimulating. You probably have a big list of stuff you want to get done, but try to be realistic about it, and know if your body's telling you like you need a break, like just take the break. It's okay. Like, you want to enjoy this trip that you've spent so much time and money and effort into planning. You don't want to, like, I don't want to say ruin it, but have some bad moments if they can be avoided, if you just kind of take a break and all that. So
I guess another one of the tips that we found to be really helpful, that will help you save time throughout your trip, is mobile ordering. We mentioned it a little earlier.
Yeah, and they really encourage that in Disney,
to the point where they kind of make you mobile order. I can't imagine there's a whole lot of instances where if you go up to a place that is pretty strictly mobile ordering, that they would let you not mobile order. But definitely mobile order. You can be anywhere in the park at any time in the park and place your order for food, as long as there's time available that you're looking for. So you could be outside of the parks, like you could be on the Skyliner on your way to Hollywood Studios, and you could be putting in your mobile order for your lunch at Woody's Lunchbox at 1:00.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, there are some slots that fill up very quickly. So like Woody's Lunchbox is one of them. So if you know you want to have lunch there, do that in the morning. Like make that, pick that time slot in the afternoon.
You can always modify it if you need to, or cancel it if you need to. There's no cancellation fees if you cancel your order, like, even 5 minutes beforehand. But another tip to kind of help you save some time is that you could say that if it's your mobile order window is up and ready, that you can go ahead and, go get your food. Don't wait until you get there to say that you're ready for food.
Yeah, do it as you're walking over there. Like, if you know, like, it's going to take you a couple minutes to walk over there, like, do it, like, when you're walking over. Or,
if you're in Hollywood Examples is a really good studio. Let's say you're over by Toy Story Mania, or, like, right by the entrance by Slinky Dog. So you're kind of, right at the forefront of the Toy Story Land, but you have a mobile order for Ronson Roasters. Those take a little bit of time to get ready and prepared for you. So, like, as you're walking through Toy Story Land, as you're walking by the entrance to Slinky Dog, say you're ready for that Ronson Rep. Then start making your way over to Ronson Roasters. By the time you get there, you will not have to wait for that food. It will be ready. And if it's ready before you get there, they're just going to put it under a heat lamp. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Some things like a small snack.
Like if it's like a cookie or something, like obviously they just need to pull that and put it on a tray, so that you don't really have to like.
But if it's something that they physically have to like prepare, if it's like a hot dish of some sort, especially for like Woody's Lunchbox, go ahead and put your order in, but say that you're there
like a couple minutes before you're
ready to go get there, because it's gonna take them a little bit of time, and that way you can just go up there. They already have your food ready. You can go ahead and leave it and find try to find a spot to sit down. So that would be like our biggest tip for mobile ordering. We use a Disney gift card. We mentioned before, we get all those gift cards, and we buy we use all of that money that we get from Shopkick, especially for our food when we're down there. You can't add a gift card to the My Disney Experience app to pay for it. So typically what we'll do is we'll just I'll message Sammy the
card number and the PIN number.
So that way I just have to copy and paste from like Facebook Messenger over to the app. It's a little inconvenient step,
but that's a way to save a little bit of time than having to like type it in
every single time. Or you could just use the card that's linked up to your Magic Band account or to your My Disney Experience account. If you don't have like a gift card, you can just do it that way. But if you're using a gift card, you could definitely use a gift card for any of that. That's another tip that we didn't know initially. Like, you can use your gift card on the Disney Experience app. You can use it when you're doing your mobile checkouts in like any of the stores as well too. It's just that you have to kind of manually put it in every single time. So that's really nice to know that you can use that gift card even on the app, because in that way you're not having to like put all of your stuff onto your credit card.
Right. Yeah. Because I don't want to come home with too big of a credit card bill at the end of the trip.
And we try not to do that, but there's always a little bit on there.
There's usually a little bit, but it's usually not too bad. But yeah. So just kind of wrapping things up. And we were trying to come up with some, tips for the end. I guess one of the last things that I have to say is like, tips for kids, which obviously we don't have kids. We don't travel with kids. But if you are looking for more like in-depth traveling with babies and toddlers, specifically going to Disney with them and all of that stuff that entails, Pixie Dusted Mom, Ashley Wright, does amazing videos. So if you need any tips, tricks, anything like that for little ones, she is the person to go to for that. I think we can link her channel.
Yeah, Mouse Hacking does that as well. They're another account. It's a husband and wife, and they have a child, and they do a lot of the rider swaps.
Oh, sure.
So if you're unfamiliar with that, is basically you all get into the line, and then one person leaves the line with the child, so someone could go on the ride, and then they essentially get kind of like a fast pass.
Yeah,
or
so
a
you
lightning
go up
lane.
to, because Ashley just talked about this because she did it in one of her videos. So you go up to the cast member beforehand and you tell them that you're doing rider swap, and one person or whoever's getting in the line originally can go in line, and then whoever's waiting first, they will put a lightning lane on the magic band. So then once that parent is off, and then you can switch, and then you can bring one person with you. It doesn't have to be the child, because I know when they were doing Cosmic Rewind, her and her husband actually got to ride together once he rode the first time. But yes, they essentially put a lightning lane, so you don't have to wait through the line twice.
So that's really nice that they have that sort of option on there. So definitely go check out Ashley, or like I said, even Mouse Hacking. They do quite a bit of that, and they do a lot of like GD plus and lightning lane stacking tips, and how to navigate the parks with lightning lane. Just because there's by no means are we pros at it. The only Genie Plus experience that we have up to right now is Disneyland, which is much different than Disney World.
Right. So I think we'll definitely get more into Disney World once we go, and then I don't know if we'll do an episode on that, because I feel like there's so many other like videos and stuff.
There's a lot of resources out there, and again, kind of to go back from way the beginning of this episode, like there's so much to learn on this. There's a lot of people that are out there that are resources for you to figure out like how to navigate the parks. This is just our 2 cents into to the ring here. But there's a lot of places that you can go to get information, to get resources, and just to learn how to navigate these parks.
And that's like, for us, we've gotten tips, tricks, and hacks like from all different places, and this is what we have accumulated to work for us. So,
and a lot of these should work for you too, but if you're looking for something specific, if you have children, go check out Ashley's channel. If you're looking for something food specific, go check out like Disney Food Blog, or there's definitely different spots to kind of tailor into figuring out how you need to plan or how you want to plan that trip. And again, if that comes down to you planning it yourself, good, there's tons of resources. If you want to go plan it with a travel agent, there's tons of travel agents. Whatever works best for you. We're just telling you how things work best.
Because I love hearing how other people do the parks and like their thoughts and opinions on certain things, planning and all of that. So so we thought it would just be kind of fun to give our 2 cents, like you said, and hopefully it helps somebody or gives a different perspective on something. But and hopefully all this planning that you've done and put into it, you have the most amazing Disney trip that you can. So that's the goal at the end of any of these, I
mean, you're not spending all this time to research and plan out a trip. You're not spending all this money to put forth on this trip, and you're not taking all that time away from your job, or taking children out of school to go on this trip to come home and be like, no, it's just an okay trip. Like it's Disney. You want it to be magical. You want it to feel extra special. And, if you take the time and the effort and the steps to learn the Disney way, or, to learn, how to plan on a trip, you can have just an incredibly magical trip.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I think we've covered so much.
We've covered a lot.
So much information. Is there anything else you feel like we missed, or you want to let people know?
I mean, I guess if anyone is like listening to this or watching this that has questions, like we're more than happy to try answering them for you. Like I said, we've got several trips of experience underneath our belts here. I mean, we didn't even get into a whole lot of like what we recommend you do in the parks. I mean, we've gotten into that in a couple other episodes here, which we can link up in the end card here. But if there's any questions about like a certain snack you want to try, or a certain way you want to go to the park, or if you have any questions like how to set up Shopkick or something, like if you have any questions on anything that we went over, like we're more than happy to talk to you about it. Like we love talking about about Disney, if you couldn't tell already. Just like send us a message, drop us an email, just let us know, and we'd be more than happy to like at least share like what we know
Yeah.
and see if, you know, any additional thing might be able to help you plan a trip.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, and I guess just, you know, like we said in the beginning, like what you're putting into your planning, you know, for your Disney trip, is what you're going to get out of it. So, you know, if you're listening to this video or this podcast, watching the video on YouTube, you know, you're obviously like wanting to do that. And, you know, and if there's any way that we can help, I guess make your trip any more magical, you know, we're happy to do so. So like, just let us know. And then if you have any tips, you know, maybe drop them for us to know and everyone else to see. Cause I love seeing new tips and tricks and like, oh, I tried this and, you know, it seems to be working well. So I love hearing new things. You know, as far as that goes, but yeah, so hopefully, you know, you guys found some use out of this video, or you just like hearing us chat about Disney. But we've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I don't know, it's really fun to just kind of set everything out. But yeah, I know there's like tons more stuff that we probably could have touched on, but then this podcast would be like 4 hours long at least.
And like we'll kind of go into a little bit more with our Pack With Me video, and you know, we're going to share our trip coming along here too. So we're just so excited because we're getting down to that last little that last final leg of planning here. We're just about a month out, so this definitely came at a really, really good time. And you know, just a few weeks from when we drop this podcast, we'll be in Disney. Yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Definitely want to thank everyone for sticking around and listening. I know this is a really long episode. Yeah, so thank you if you made it this far. You're amazing. It's really awesome to see like the love and support that we're getting. We're getting more followers on Instagram, and we love seeing your comments on the YouTube video. So we definitely just thank you all so much for the support that you're giving us. It's really, really awesome. But we got a couple more fun episodes coming up here, coming into the holiday season, and we can't wait to share this all with you and share with you what our Disney trip looks like when we come back. We're planning on doing a recap when we come back, so stay tuned to that sometime maybe towards the end of November. But for this episode of the Team Unicorn podcast, I'm Tyler. I'm Sammy. And it's been magical. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Team Unicorn podcast. You can find us on all major podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, like, and review wherever you are listening, and follow us on Instagram to keep up with all things Team Unicorn. And remember, stay magical.